everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. If you haven't already guessed by the title of the video, today's video is going to be on cultural appropriation. This is an extremely hot topic in today's society with all the events that have happened and all the debates going around. It's a really important issue and it impacts a lot of people. So I thought I would take this opportunity today to dive a little bit more into what cultural appropriation actually is, because there's a lot of fire going around on both sides about what is, what isn't, and where do you draw the line. That said, I want to start this off with a few disclaimers. I know there's a lot more that can be said on this topic than in the time length of this video. I will try my best to just present the best examples that I feel like represent what I'm trying to say about this topic in the time frame that I'm allotted. If I were to go over all of the aspects of cultural appropriation, this video would be something like 2 hours. I know you guys aren't going to want to stick around for that probably. Without further ado, we'll go on to the video. As an additional disclaimer, I do not own any of the videos or photos used in the video. Now, while there are many crazy, weird, cool, and wild fashions out there, especially in the music industry, there is a point where creativity and artistic use becomes appropriation and offensive. Before we get really into this issue, we definitely need a definition to reference. Healthline published an article called "There's a Big Difference Between Cultural Appreciation and Appropriation. Here's Why It Matters." Essentially calls cultural appropriation, quote, "when members of one culture adopt specific aspects of a different culture without consent." And this was with no date. Even though that definition may seem pretty cut and dry, I think there are still a lot of gray areas and varying levels of acceptability. One great example of this is the oversized clothes trend. An article by Pure Wow called 8 Fashion Trends and Movements with Roots in Black Culture, published on June 25th, 2020, was the oversized trend, among other trends such as hoop earrings, to be from Black culture. But it's so normalized in society today that I honestly didn't think about this, and maybe many others don't either. There are some things that are maybe borrowed or inspired by other cultures that are just so normal to wear or just accepted in culture that aren't really recognized or listed as cultural appropriation. If this is true, then people are probably appropriating all the time without even knowing it. This is a huge other issue for the definition and reality of cultural appropriation. But there's definitely a difference between something that's taken with its original significance for its intended purpose and something that's taken outside of context. Consent is another part of it that is a little bit hard to grasp. Does consent mean that everyone from a certain culture has to sign a waiver saying that, yes, this one person can use this element for their wardrobe, for their stage performance or something? Does consent mean that one person from that culture agrees with it, or that everyone just generally seems to accept it? Consent is super hard to define here, and that's another thing that kind of makes this definition even more confusing. The question then, I think, becomes not, is cultural appropriation a thing and how can we stop it? But rather, are there appropriate ways to appropriate and are there inappropriate ways to appropriate, and how does that look? So essentially for this rest of this video, I'm going to be giving a few examples on people who did do a good job with that and who did not do a good job. People who had the same sort of inspiration but took it very different ways. And so hopefully this will help you see a little bit more on what's the difference between good and appropriate appropriation and bad appropriation. For her song Come and Get It, Selena Gomez incorporated a lot of Indian elements, sounds in the music, the stage outfits, and a bindi. It was this particular choice that got her some criticism. In an article published by the Los Angeles Times called Selena Gomez Bindi at MTV Movie Awards Offends Hindu Group, published on April 16, 2013, the author writes that, quote, "The bindi on the forehead is an ancient tradition in Hinduism and has religious significance," Hindu statesman Rajan Zed told WENN. "It is also sometimes referred to as the third eye and the flame, and it is an auspicious religious and spiritual symbol. It is not meant to be thrown around loosely for seductive effects or as a fashion accessory aiming at mercantile greed." Selena herself, however, seemed to have a different perspective. In an article by The Cut called Selena Gomez Not Backing Down on Bindi Front, published on April 25th, 2013, she says in the article that, quote, "The song kind of has that almost Hindu feel, that tribal feel. I kind of wanted to translate that. I've learned a lot about the culture, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's fun to incorporate that into the performance." Lindsey Stirling, on the other hand, is an artist that I feel like knows her inspiration but does it very well. In her song Mirage, Lindsey Stirling definitely uses some similar traditional sounds that Selena Gomez also uses in her song Come and Get It. She even features Raja Kumari, an Indian American rapper, in the song. What is different here though is that she doesn't take this as an opportunity or an excuse to wear something directly from Indian culture like a bindi. So what makes what Lindsey Stirling did so cool and so good is she didn't try to present herself as a representative of Indian culture dressing up in traditional attire. Rather, she had someone from Indian culture come and make the song with her. She still used some inspired elements throughout her song while maintaining her own style and culture, and I think she did a really good job overall with it. Selena, on the other hand, she seemed to try to use the elements of Indian culture to build up her performance and make it part of a whole vibe. It doesn't really matter what you believe here, you still have to be respectful. The next set of examples is going to be demonstrating what inappropriate cultural appropriation looks like in regards to people and languages of certain cultures. As disgusting as it sounds, it actually has happened. So if you've seen this man's face before, you probably have also heard that he's done a lot of problematic things in his career. You would be right, and if you want to hear more about that, YouTuber Johnny goes into a lot better detail than I will about this, but I just wanted to point out one thing from the video he did. He essentially calls out Ollie London for fetishizing the Asians he uses in his music videos. He is always kind of surrounded with them, he notices, and he uses them to kind of prop up his image or put on a certain vibe for his music videos. He even uses some poorly pronounced, I might add, Korean words and phrases in his songs to put up this image again. Stray Kids, on the other hand, is an actual K-pop artist group, and they used accents and words very creatively. Now, most of the members are from Korea, and I think all of them are actually of Korean heritage, but there are 2 members that were actually raised and from Australia. In their song Awkward Silence, these members creatively use their accents to bring a whole new vibe to the song. One of the members, Felix, says, "There you go, mate," in his very natural, authentic Australian accent in the midst of the Korean lyrics, and it seems very genuine and proper for him to do it, so it works out perfectly and sounds very cute in the song. So in conclusion, cultural appropriation can be done in a proper, appreciative way, or it can be done in a bad, inappropriate way, and it really just depends on how it's used, the context it's used in, and what other elements are combined. It is possible to properly and respectfully adapt elements as we've seen in these examples, but it's also possible to improperly do that. So it's just important that whatever we do, that we be respectful of ourselves, of those around us, and the cultures around us as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys learned something from this video. If I didn't get something correct or there's something I'm misunderstanding, please feel free to let me know in the comments, but again, just please be respectful with whatever you do. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you guys later. Bye! An article by Pure Wow published on January...